You both did it on home runs, and you both did it in front of the Mets fans.
For me, at least, it was amazing. And my 30th home run came against the Phillies, which was even better at the time.
One other thing you guys have in common in the clubhouse, Francisco has the locker that you had back then.
I hope I left it clean. It wasn't dirty.
Is there meaning to that?
100%. Every year you always have that person you look up to. As soon as I show up, one of the first things they say, hey, that was David Wright's locker.
How do you guys want to be remembered by fans?
I hope he's remembered differently. You know, we got close. I hope they can finish the job.
100% agree. That's a winner. No matter what, we want to win.
I'm Vito Calisi, this is Jonathan Barron, and we're here on Meet at the Apple, and we're joined by David Wright and Francisco Lindor to talk about their thing in common, which is both being in the 30-30 club. Tell us about those amazing seasons you guys had.
For me, it's something that you don't really think about. Obviously, you have goals throughout the years that you want to accomplish, but 30-30 wasn't really in my mind. The media here does an amazing job of reminding you what you're close to and what you aren't close to. So then all of a sudden, like, you start, okay, yeah, it's coming up, it's coming up. Let me continue to stay focused, continue to stay in the task of winning games and playing the game the right way day in and day out. And I definitely made a conscious effort last year to steal more bases because the game changed.
And I think for me, and you know what Francisco doesn't mention is he played goal defense on top of that, which is, incredible. So for me, it was funny because the home runs were something that I felt like came natural to me. As opposed to the stealing of the bases. And Hojo at the time, who was another 30-30 guy, convinced me to try to run more that year. And like Francisco, I didn't think that was a huge part of my game, but convinced me to try to steal more bags. And I couldn't do it on just based solely on speed. I had to pick right counts. I had to try to look in and try to maybe see if the pitcher had a changeup grip or a curveball grip, and then I try to steal bases. So it was a fun year for me, kind of going outside of my comfort zone and trying to steal more bases.
And you both had similar experiences reaching the plateau. You both did it on home runs. It wasn't a stolen base. And you both did it in front of the Mets fans, which was so special. So what was that like, rounding the bases? What was going through your mind knowing that you got to do it with the home run and in front of the great Mets fans?
For me, at least, it was amazing. And my 30th home run came against the Phillies, which was even better at the time. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of player as a young kid that I wanted to be. I wanted to try to play good defense. I wanted to try to hit for average, hit for power, and steal bases. And it was something that I constantly worked at, starting down here in spring training where, you're learning to try to get a big enough lead to where it gives you that advantage of stealing a base but doesn't get you picked off. But also, being successful at a high clip to where you're not just trying to steal bases for the sake of getting 30 stolen bases. You're doing it to help the team and to help the guy hitting behind you, get RBIs and score runs and produce.
Yeah, it's extremely important what he said about just picking and choosing when to go, when not to go. There's the right time and there's no so right time. So for me, doing it in front of the fans, it was just as soon as I got the ball, I did against the Marlins. As soon as I hit it, it was like that look to the dugout, like, yes,
That's it.
yes, we're done with this.
Yes. And
Yeah.
you made a late push at the end of the year because you were like, 3 or 4 homers short, and you went on a tear like the last week to get to that 30.
I talked to Jeremy. I'm like, Jeremy, what I got to do? Just give me something. Give me something that takes me out of the whole 30-30 thing so I can just focus on the little things and go out there and just take care of business. And it worked out.
And I don't want to take this over from you guys.
No, we don't.
We're not important.
I still have some connections inside the clubhouse, and to Francisco's credit, and he would probably never tell you this, but he was hurt for a lot of the year with your hand, I believe, and he was playing through things that a lot of guys probably wouldn't have played through. So in order to get to that 30-30 season and have that season that he had, he played when a lot of other guys probably would have shut it down and, just kind of went on the injured list and kind of shut it down to get healthy. But he played through that, and I think his numbers suffered because of it. And then to turn it on like he did towards the end of the season, I took my cap to that.
Thank you. It's one of those that you did at a very, very extremely high level for such many years where it's like I take a lot of pride in posting up. And from what I hear from everybody around here, that's what they all talk about. Mm-hmm. David Wright, he's just going to post up. He's just going to show up. He showed up 3 hours earlier than anybody so he can get his body right for 7 p.m. and that's something I've always taken a lot of pride on, posting up. Because at the end of the day, you just post up. If you put in the time to work, the numbers will show up eventually, So it's have that in common as well.
And that's why these young players, when they speak so highly of Francisco, is, he has them during the offseason working on their defense or, talking baseball. But also, he's a leader by example for the way that he goes out there and does that. Not a lot of people knew about his hand. Not a lot of people knew how badly he was injured. But these young guys see that. And when they see, one of the best players in the league posting every day with this hurt hand, those are the types of guys that I wanted to follow. And those are the types of guys that these young players will follow on this team.
One other thing you guys have in common in the clubhouse, you guys share a locker. Francisco has the locker that you had back then. Was that something done on purpose, and is that something that you even knew?
I hope I left it clean. It wasn't dirty or smelly.
Is there meaning to that?
100%. 100%. It's every year it happened in Cleveland, it happened here. Every year you always have that person you look up to, and they have a locker, and they have a way of showing up and posting up and doing things. And that guy in Cleveland was Michael Brantley for me. Michael Brantley was there every single day. And then here, as soon as I show up, one of the first things they say, hey, that was David Wright's locker. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, okay. And they were like, yeah, you're the first person that everybody sees. I'm like, got it. I will be here. I'll be here. I'll post up. And it's cool, number one, it's just a legacy that he left behind that, in a way, it's not that I'm trying to imitate everything he did, but there's a culture, it's an organization, and there's things that the path was already set for me. I'm sure somebody set it up for him, and I'm just following it. I'm just walking step by step, and hopefully, by the time I finish, somebody else would follow the path. It's not all reinventing the wheel. I see it as it's an honor and a privilege that somebody put in the work, the time for themselves, but also for the people behind them, and that's what I'm trying to do.
And they put the best-looking guy on the team in that locker room.
Everyone sees that locker. Everyone's eyes are right in the past. I mean, this is a good-looking podcast. We got 3 cameras, of course. Now, in that locker, it was spotted a couple years ago. There was a number 5 David Wright jersey behind you. Yeah. We both own a David Wright jersey.
First jersey I ever owned. It was the bootleg Modell's one that was just plain blue letters.
I think mine was a Robbie Alomar, but you were like second. I hope that's not offensive.
Alomar, that's my guy. That's my favorite player. That's.
Of course, but what was the story behind that number 5 David Wright jersey being in your locker?
They put it there, and it's just like, got it. It's just almost like a unsaid message, It's like, okay, they're there, got it, okay. That's the guy. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the guy that everybody followed, and that's the guy that everybody tried to play like, And trainers that've been here when he was bullpen catchers.
Dave Racanello.
Yeah, Dave Racanello. Yeah. Just people that were here, just clubbies, they have nothing but great things to say about him. And hopefully one day when I leave and I come back, people are saying somewhat stuff like what they say about him.
Our version of that is we actually have Mike Francesa's microphone sitting on our desk.
He's won a couple Marconis. So you guys are just 2 of 4 Mets to ever do it, 30-30. You two, Darryl Strawberry, Howard Johnson. So how much does history matter to you guys? I mean, do you think about that often?
It matters a lot to me. I mean, not necessarily, trying to go out there and make history, but, to be remembered and to be put in the same breath as, a Lindor, a Hojo, a Straw. It means a lot to me, especially, having spent my entire career here, having the relationships with this organization, this fan base, this city, to be mentioned in that breath means the world to me.
And he mentioned that earlier. You grow up trying to be a certain player, and just by coming up and being mentioned around guys like him and guys like, for me, Beltran, Alomar, those guys, Reyes, those guys, to me, it was just like, this is kind of cool. It's kind of cool because at the end of the day, you go back and you're in the moment. You live in the moment, so you don't really think about it much. But then once you step out, it's like, I kind of like this. This is cool, So this is you idolize people. You grew up looking up to them, and then it turns into reality. And then it's like, now I have a job to do, and I got to do it the right way.
I got a quick question because, from what I watched, you seem to always be the guy, which is another reason why I respect you so much, to always be the guy at your locker after the game, good game or bad game, being that guy that takes the criticism but always likes to hand out the praise to your teammates. Is that something you consciously do, or is that something that, somebody taught you, or how did you come to being the guy that's so accountable after all of the great wins and tough losses?
A little bit of both. My parents always said that we were a family of 4, and my dad always said, just, you're not alone. There's always someone there that helped you get to where you are. So just remember to say thanks and appreciate what people do around you. And then in the organization, like I said, somebody set the path for me. And in this organization was Michael Brantley. Michael Brantley was always there. Always, whether he was hurt or not, whether he was hitting 300 or not, he was always there. And I do take a lot of pride in that. I think that's part of posting up. That's part of the job that we have. They say, the media here in New York is tough. Yeah, it don't matter where you are. You still got to answer the questions. It's just a difference between you get 10 questions or 3 questions. Right. But you still got to answer the questions.
That's great.
And I just love that. I genuinely love being there in my locker. Is like, okay, you got a question, I got to answer it, And at times I get a little nervous because I'm like, I don't want to mess this one up. At times I'm like, man, I hope they'll ask me that tough question because
not here.
If they ask me that question, I don't want to be the headline. I don't want to be the headline. So it's I like it. I think it just comes with the task of the daily job.
Yeah. Do you guys remember the first time you met?
First officially met was probably when there was a met.
I met him in California in a LA game. I saw him around here, but 2021 pandemic, they weren't coming around much, and we weren't next to each other. Like it was different. In LA, I got a chance to meet him and just a quick hello. We never really sat down and had full conversations, but I like Rack a lot, and Rack seems to like him a lot.
His old roommate.
Always talking about him.
Rack's the bridge between generations, you know what I mean?
It really is. He has survived so many front offices.
We'll credit him with a stolen base or two.
That's how I met him. He's always been like, how you doing? What's up, brother? Nice seeing you. And then I go about. He understands, and he's like almost like, go do your job. Like, you got a job. How are you? How you doing? Okay, cool.
I remember how the older players were when I was playing, trying to get ready for a game. So the last thing I want to do is get in this guy's way when he's preparing. I love saying hello and I love talking baseball with him, but I know that the job at hand and the task at hand is to get ready for the season and help this team win. So, I like to give him his space, but I like watching him from afar.
Thank you.
And you recently went on another podcast, and you said that you would grow up playing with David Wright in video games.
Yeah.
And you followed the Mets back then. You guys had great teams, the 06 team in particular. So what were some of your memories of watching David and Jose Reyes and Carlos Beltran and Carlos Delgado, a couple of your idols?
Yeah, that's the reason why I got to use them a lot in PlayStation. It was just like, it just so happened there was a couple of Puerto Ricans in the team, a lot of Latin players in the team, and those were when he was starting to be the baller,
He was the cover boy of MLB The Show 07.
Yeah. Right. So it was just like everybody in Puerto Rico wanted to be a Met. Everybody had black and blue, orange and blue, everybody in Puerto Rico. And I just remember using that team a lot in PlayStation. And it was some cool colors, like cool uniforms and stuff. So I just abused the hell out of them. I use them on everything, home run derby, just every game I would use him. I told Chavez the same thing, because Chavez, a third baseman, he had a couple of years where he was balling too. And I'm like, damn, Chavez, you're bad knees right now. I probably did that to you.
But he named two great teammates, two great mentors of mine. Carlos Beltran, Carlos Delgado. They were a huge part of that great offense that we had. And being able to take batting practice with them and train with them, taught me an incredible amount, not only about the game, but about preparation and about playing winning baseball. So, he nailed it with those two guys.
Yeah.
When he said cover boy, were you afraid he was going to bring up the GQ shoot again?
Yeah. See, this is built for GQ.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Jose Reyes, Francisco Lindor, they are more the GQ guys.
Shirtless and like a crop top, I think.
Francisco and Pete will recreate it. That could be something.
Yeah, GQ, man. There's some feel.
See, he's built for this. Look at this.
People think, oh, you created. My friend, there's always somebody that did it for me. In the 90s, everybody was cropped up in the shirts. Everybody had cut them here, cropped up. And I just look at trends. Everything comes back. Whatever you guys did, it's coming back now. Yeah. By the way, your glove, your Wilson A2K.
Yeah.
One of the sickest gloves ever. I used Chipper Jones and the A2K.
Well, good.
And then I turned into a Rollins guy.
Yes, that's
but
okay.
Those gloves, like that brown, like that tan with like a darker brown. It was, and the H-Web.
I appreciate that.
It was really cool.
See, you're getting a compliment from,
He uses Gucci gloves.
I know,
He has
that's
used the Gucci
what I'm
gloves.
saying.
That's a high bar.
drip swag. So for a compliment, that's nice.
So you were talking about Carlos Beltran a second ago. I heard Carlos Beltran's a fantastic baker and used to bring cake sometimes.
Yes. We loved, obviously, having Carlos as a teammate because of what he could do on the field and the leadership that he brought. But away from the field, when he would make his tres leches, and it was out of this world. So that is a true statement.
I haven't got no tres leches.
Well, you got to ask him.
Yeah, he invites me to his house. Yeah. He invites me. It's like, and we always eat at his house, but I never got that treat.
You got to bring it up. Be like, I heard the boys were talking about this tres leches cake.
I will. I'll definitely put them on blast.
Yes.
So you guys are in a totally different category in Mets history for your accomplishments. How do you guys want to be remembered by fans?
I hope he's remembered differently. We got close. I hope they can finish the job, and I hope that ultimately, both of us are remembered for playing winning baseball, but I hope he can take that team, one step further.
100% agree. That's a winner. No matter what, you want to win. Like just to see the players that play the game that have actually won the championship come back and see how fans go crazy for the team, the winning thing, because it's kind of nostalgic. Like it brings that, like wow, I remember when they won, like that. To me, is always cool. And somebody always said to me, if you win, you get free food everywhere you go.
Can't beat that. Maybe Carlos Beltran will make you some tres leches.
So let's win.
That's true. I mean, we're not only doing this podcast and working for the team, but we grew up fans of this team. And I think I speak for the both of us when we say you guys saying that gets us fired up. I'm getting goosebumps right now hearing you guys talk about that, and it's just exciting. What do you think about playing in New York with these passionate fans? How have you both dealt with that and just been inspired by that?
I think that's a good question because that's all I know. But, having someone that came from, a different, smaller market coming to New York, I'd love to hear what Francisco thinks about that exact question because I loved it. But again, that's all I knew. I loved the energy. I loved the passion, the electricity that the New York fan base brought to the ballpark on a nightly basis. I would hope that the majority of the players would love that. I'm sure some of them shy away from it. It seems like Francisco's embraced it. So I'd love to hear what he thinks about it.
I love it. I love showing up to the field and knowing that there's going to be a lot of people there. And they're gonna in a way let you know when you're right and when you're wrong. Yeah. It almost keeps you that edge. However, coming from a different organization, I was always used to just the cheering, and try to break you out of stuff by cheering on you, not the other way around. And at first, it took me a little bit. Not gonna lie, it was like, damn, this doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to go out there because now I'm thinking instead of focusing on hitting the baseball, I'm thinking if I roll over here,
what's the reaction?
I think this is gonna happen. Roll over. I'm running. I'm like, damn. But it right now, I have learned to focus on the job. And one of the best advice somebody gave me, they said, it's all about the results. It's the results. Don't worry about you. It's the results. And they are cheering the results, and they are cheering, and then they get mad at the results. When you retire, it's all about you. You know, like they see you, like it's just, and it's like, it's very quick. I have learned that it's like a today a bat for a bat, and then after it's just like you see them down the street and it's all normal. You know, so it's one of those where you have to learn. You have to understand. I've talked to many fans, like you guys, like that work for the team that were fans at one point, and just trying to understand, like, hey, where are you coming from? Like, what's the motivation? Why this? Why that? And just they always use the word passionate, and I'm starting to believe that it's just a passionate, like they just. You know, the passion, it's both ways. It's not one way. You know, I love that. It makes me play harder. It makes me stay on my toes and just focus on what I got to do day in and day out.
You mentioned advice. We want to close by offering David the opportunity to give some advice to Francisco as the all-time Mets hit leader. What can you share with Francisco from your experiences? You were a lifelong Met. Francisco, you've been here for a little bit now, but what can you offer to Francisco?
I don't think I can offer much. I mean, you're doing a pretty good job.
Come on, you're in blast.
I think that it's, again, from afar, I love the way he plays the game. But probably just as important, if not more important, he's the same guy day in, day out. He comes to the ballpark with a smile. He plays the game like it should be played, like a kid playing the game in Little League. He enjoys it. And you'd never know if he was 0 for 4 or 4 for 4 by the way he carries himself. And I think that's the definition of not only a tremendous teammate, but a leader, and a guy that, again, that this team is going to follow. So I'm a big fan. I love the way you play the game. I love the way you carry yourself. Now let's go win.
Yeah. To finish the job.
Awesome.
Yes.
Got to.
That's incredible. Let's get it.
Thank you.
Let's
Yes.
win.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Let's do it.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
A lot of handshakes going around.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Mets fans. Thanks for listening to another episode of Meet at the Apple. Make sure to leave some comments.
And also, like, subscribe, share, and we'll meet you at the Apple.